Hey, what's up everyone? One of the biggest things the devs clearly focused on here is match integrity. If you've been playing since earlier seasons, you already know how frustrating it could be when someone goes AFK, whether it's on your team or the enemy team. Matches would feel pointless, momentum would collapse, and worst of all, rank points didn't always reflect what actually happened in the game. This update goes straight at that problem. Now, if a match gets voided because a player goes AFK, that player is no longer escaping consequences. They straight up lose rank points. It doesn't matter if the match ends early or feels unfinished, the system recognizes that going AFK ruins the competitive environment, and it finally treats it like the serious issue it is. What makes this even more important is that the penalty system doesn't stop there. If a player goes AFK mid-match, even if the game technically continues, rank point changes are now adjusted to reflect that behavior. In other words, you can't just dip out and expect the system to shrug it off anymore. That alone is going to change player behavior over time, because ranked rewards consistency, and this update makes it clear that staying present and finishing matches matters just as much as raw skill. Now, here's where things get really interesting, especially for players who feel like they're always doing their job but still losing because of uneven teams. The update introduces a contribution-based adjustment to rank loss. If you're in a losing match but your contribution is significantly higher than the rest of your team, the system now recognizes that. Instead of eating the full rank point loss, your penalty is reduced. This is huge, because for a long time, ranked felt like it punished effort just as much as inactivity. You could play out of your mind, secure objectives, deal damage, support your team properly, and still lose the same amount of rank points as someone who barely participated. That frustration is something a lot of players felt, and this update is the devs quietly saying, yeah, we see that too. It also adds an extra layer of motivation during rough matches. Even if things start going south, there's now a real reason to keep pushing and playing smart instead of mentally checking out. The game is watching your performance more closely, and it's rewarding players who stay engaged, even in losing situations. That doesn't mean you're suddenly immune to rank loss, but it does mean your effort isn't being completely ignored anymore. Another thing worth mentioning is how these changes work together. AFK penalties and contribution-based rank adjustments aren't separate ideas. They're clearly part of the same philosophy shift. The devs want ranked to reflect responsibility. If you abandon your team, you get punished. If you carry your weight, even in a bad situation, the system has your back a little more than before. That balance is important because competitive games live and die by how fair players feel the ranking system actually is. Beyond ranked, this update also feels like groundwork. It's not loud about it, but these systems set the stage for future seasons. Once AFK behavior is properly tracked and contribution metrics are more refined, it opens the door for smarter matchmaking and more accurate skill placement. Even if that's not fully visible yet, you can feel the direction they're heading in. Performance-wise, most players will notice matches feeling a bit more stable, not necessarily because of technical changes, but because fewer people are willing to risk penalties by leaving early. Over time, that should lead to better quality games across the board, especially at higher ranks where every point matters. So while Season 3.1 might not look exciting on the surface, it's one of those updates that quietly reshapes the experience. It respects players who show up, stick it out, and actually play the game the way it's meant to be played. If you care about ranked, if you've ever been burned by AFKs, or if you felt like your effort wasn't being recognized, this update is a meaningful step forward. It's not perfect and no system ever is, but it's progress, and it's the kind of progress that makes sticking with the game feel a lot more worthwhile.